Today we're talking about how COVID-19 is affecting the housing market, and we're starting right now. Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If this is your first time here and you're interested in all things real estate in the Flower Mound area, be sure and hit the subscribe button. We publish new videos every single week and we don't want you to miss anything. Today we're answering the question, how is COVID-19 affecting the housing market?
I'm sure you're watching all the news media right now with all the negative information that's coming out about COVID-19, and I'm sure you're feeling, very scared or, sometimes even paralyzed about, what to do. How's this going to affect the economy? How is this going to affect the housing market? And, even if you, even have a need to, either buy or sell right now, or if you've had plans of, hey, this is the year we want to, get a bigger house because our family is growing, we just need more room, we're about to, kind of basically go crazy. So what I want to do is really be able to bring you solid information that is factual information rather than just a bunch of sound bites that the media is putting out, because we know that the media knows that the negative headlines definitely sell. So if it leads, it bleeds type thing, or if it bleeds, it leads. So I've done a lot of great factual research to be able to bring to you. And it's not boring, but you're going to be really surprised about the facts I've been able to bring you about the past housing cycles that we've been through, and also the past pandemic cycles that we've been through, and how they affect the economy, how it affects the housing market. And at the end of this video, we're going to share with you the 5 things that you need to do to get your house ready to sell during the pandemic or right after the pandemic. So you want to make sure you stay tuned to be able to get that information. So what we're going to do is, first we're going to look at the housing market first of all. So take it in bite-sized pieces to see where we have been and where we're headed to with that. And then we're also going to be looking at past pandemics and how this current pandemic is panning out, how it is performing right now economically, and how that's affecting everybody.
So then what are the key factors that dictate the housing market, whether it's just a regular housing market or a pandemic? How does that predict it?
That's a really great question. And the first thing we look at is the mortgage standards. First of all, back in 2008 or early 2000s, the government came in and said, really don't need any regulations to be able to get a loan. So basically, if you can sign a piece of paper, you can basically buy a house. So, unfortunately, we've learned through that. And so now they've kept the lending guidelines very strict to where, you have to prove you have a job. You have to prove that you're providing a certain amount of income to be able to qualify for a house. And just that alone has been able to keep the housing market very solid. So we won't see just a flood of foreclosures coming in because of just that certain situation. And there's another part of this we're going to be going in to help avoid the mass foreclosures as well. The second part of this is, back then the type of loans that they had was they had, a lot of zero down loans where you have to put a down payment. And then also you could also, roll in your closing costs, which on top of the amount that you're purchasing the home. So a lot of people were financing 106% of the house into the loan, and they had no money down. So they didn't have any room there if the market changed to have some cushion with that as well. And then here's a little bonus part. Ever since they've kept the track of the interest rates from the history of the U.S., the average interest rate in the U.S. has been 8%. So the interest rates we're seeing right now, in the 3s and the 4s are still very, very low. Because I know the first time we bought our house, we were lucky, jumped for joy, we got 6%, and that was in the late 90s.
I believe we were at 6 3/4, yeah.
The second key factor that we look at is the housing pricing. As far as, are the pricing, going out of control, things like that. I know we've had, in the last several years, a lot of home pricing going up, and it's felt like it's been totally out of control. But when we compare that to the 2008 market, that was a lot higher of appreciation rate than what we actually saw this last go around. And just to show you far as the pricing, with the graph that we've got up, is that, in the boom years, which generally take anywhere from 10 to 15 years, we see a really good solid move of the economy. Then when we get to the peak, then that's when the bust happens. And generally we see that at about a 2 to 5 year range. And then once we hit the bottom of that, then we're spiking back up, going into another boom of 10 to 15 years. Now here's the key part to this is that from the previous spike of the boom, and then when it comes back down to the bust, it's never gone past the previous boom, and then it'll go back up for the next boom. So that way the housing pricing are still, very solid. It's not like the stock market where it just goes to zero within a day, unfortunately. Then this other graph that we have is showing in the last 5 recessions that we've had, 3 of the 5 recessions, we've actually seen home prices appreciate at anywhere from about 3.5% all the way up into the 6% range. So that's above the national average of appreciation rate, because the national average is right around 3 to 4% per year with that. So there's only been 2 that have dropped, and of course one was '08 where we saw a big drop. The third key factor that we look at is how many homes do we have for sale within the market. In a way that we really determine as what we call months of inventory, meaning that for however many homes we have on the market right now, and not another one comes on the market, how long is it going to take for all the homes to sell? So the way we look at that is if there is that 6 months inventory, then it means we're in a balanced market, meaning it's neither nor buyer nor seller market. In the 2008 crash, we had around 8 to 9 months of inventory, meaning we had too many homes to sell and not enough buyers to come in, causing that. Fast forward to right now we're still in a seller's market, meaning we don't have enough homes to sell for the buyers that are actually coming in, because right now we have 360 new people coming into the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex a day. And that's large because we have such a great economy here.
Right.
So, in fact, Texas is the 10th strongest economy in the world. So the fourth thing is that we look at is, what is affordability, or what does it cost to be able to afford a home? And back in 2008, the 3 factors of that is, what is the home prices, what is the interest rate, and also what is the household income. So in '08, the house pricing was up, interest rates were up above 6% or more, and then the regular household income was too low to support that. Versus now, yes, our home prices are up, but we've got great interest rates that are really helping with that, and the household income has raised since then. So that's really helping the home affordability. When the other part they look at that is, back in '08, it took 25% of the household income just to pay for the mortgage, versus now only 15% of the home budget goes to pay just for the mortgage right now. The fifth factor that we're looking at is, back in '08, people are basically using their house as an ATM because the home appreciation rate was going so high that people are like, hey, we're just going to cash out, either use it for remodels, or hey, we're just going to quit our job and just live off that for a while. So when that happened and the market crashed, then people were upside down. Either they didn't have a job or they just didn't have any cushion, within the house to be able to sell if they're in a position they had to. Like, unfortunately, so many people were in that position. So the good thing is right now is the numbers are showing that people are not using their house as ATM. They've got a lot of equity in their home because the appreciation rates have gone up. So they are in that position with some room in there. If they need to sell, then they can be able to do that without doing the short sale or going into foreclosure.
Right. So we've looked at past housing markets and current housing. What determines the health of a housing market? So let's look at now. What does the current housing market look like, and how is the pandemic affecting that?
So as far as looking at how this pandemic is affecting the housing market and the economy and all that, there's just a lot of factors that are going into this, because I believe a lot of it is, okay, what are the headlines that are being put out there? Because unfortunately, there's either sound bites or misinformation that's putting out there that's causing a lot of panic. And I'm not dismissing this COVID issue at all, because it is real and it's affecting a lot of people, unfortunately. But yeah, I just want to make sure we're bringing the right information to you. So Goldman Sachs forecasts or predicts that we're going to see the gross domestic product have the largest drop in the last 100 years. So this is true what Goldman Sachs said. However, they're not saying the rest of the story. They are saying that within the third and fourth quarter of the year that we're going to see a really nice rebound in the economy with everything that's going on. This also lines up with John Burns Consulting, who has done a lot of research on pandemics, the economy, and the housing markets. And they also went on to continue to say, as far as with the pandemics, that pandemics generally, they'll take a quick nosedive in the economy and then it'll spike right back up. And with all the research they've been doing in, as far as keeping track of everything, that right now this current pandemic is following the same path. So the economy may or will suffer for the next few months, with the expectation with it bouncing back very quickly in quarter 3, 4, and also in quarter 1 of the following year. They're really predicting a very robust turnaround with everything. Another soundbite is the Fed president says we're at a 30% unemployment rate. And what they did not say is that he's predicting it to be 30%. Now, we know there has been a spike in unemployment. There's no denying that. However, he also does go on to say that basically the third, fourth, and even the first quarter of the year also will be very robust, because it's going to be a lot of pent-up buyer demand, because people are needing products and services that have been postponed for so long. So therefore, we're going to see that spike in the economy again, get back to normal for whatever the new normal will be after this.
So the bottom line is there's a lot of misinformation out there in the media. The bad news sells more, and you're hearing some sound bites and not the full story. Our goal is to give you factual information so that you can make the best decision for you and your family when it comes to making your housing decisions, whether you need to buy or sell or whatever that looks like for you.
As I promised you earlier, I definitely would be sharing with you the 5 ways to be able to get your home ready to sell, while you're sheltering in place, or whether you need to do it right now. So just click on the link below, and that way you can be able to download that information.
So after hearing all this information about the housing market and how it's going to be affected by this pandemic, if you'd like to schedule a strategy session with us, we'd be glad to do that with you, either by a Zoom call virtually online or just by a regular phone call. And that way you can get all your questions answered and be able to make the best decisions for you and your family at this time. If you liked this video and found it helpful, be sure and give it a thumbs up. Leave us a comment below, subscribe. We post new videos each and every week. Thanks again for watching our channel, and we'll see you next week.